Ontario is taking a new step in its fight against anti-Semitism and expanding its Holocaust education for high school students. Starting September 2025, it will be part of the mandatory grade 10 history course, including lessons about the impacts of anti-Semitism. The province is also investing $650,000 into resources and training. This is all on top of Ontario's Holocaust education requirement for the grade 6 social studies curriculum announced last year. Our next guest would like to see some action at the federal level. The Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center is calling on the government to create a federal task force to combat anti-Semitism on university campuses. Michael Levitt is the president and CEO of the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center. He is in Toronto. Thank you, Mr. Levitt, for joining us this morning. What can you tell us about the rise of anti-Semitism that we have seen since the October 7th attacks and how a task force could help here?
Well, first of all, you were just referencing the Ontario announcement yesterday made by Minister Stephen Lecce. We've worked closely with the provincial government on Holocaust education. It's something that's central to the work of the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center, and we think it's an incredibly important step to help prevent the type of anti-Semitism that we're seeing now on campuses. And I can tell you it is a wave of virulent anti-Semitism that has taken root on our university campuses, college and university campuses across Canada, something, by the way, that we've seen mirrored in the United States and throughout Europe as well. But it is incredibly concerning. Students and faculty alike are feeling threatened, are feeling at risk, and we need to see leadership from the federal government convening a task force on on-campus anti-Semitism to bring together the relevant provincial ministers, leaders from the Jewish community, leaders from universities and colleges across the country, and our new special envoy on combating anti-Semitism and Holocaust remembrance, Deborah Lyons.
So you want a collaborative effort here. What can you tell us about the kinds of things that you're hearing from Jewish staff and students these past couple of weeks?
Absolutely. We are seeing groups walking around campus, pulling down posters of kidnapped Israelis being held in Gaza. That's something that's been quite common over the last number of weeks. We've seen professors singling out Jewish students within the class, in some cases berating them if they express a different opinion. We are seeing professors weaponizing the curriculum in their classes to provide, a context that is absolutely one-sided, where the perpetrator, Hamas, the terrorist group, is somehow portrayed as as sympathetic. And that's something that we've seen also from student societies at York University, a number of them, at Toronto Metropolitan University and others, really coming out, glorifying, as they call it, the resistance, Hamas, a listed terrorist organization under Canadian law. But we shouldn't be surprised, Travis, because campuses across Canada have been a hotbed of anti-Semitism, of Israel apartheid weeks for a number of years. And in those situations, we've long seen Jewish students and faculty being singled out, being targeted, and having their safe space taken away.
So obviously you're saying that you don't think there's a balanced approach here on university campuses, on post-secondary campuses. Why do you think that there is a link between this rise that you're seeing happening and academia?
Oh, I think this has been long-standing. We've seen within the halls of academia for a long, long time a complete, disregard and focus only on Israel as an aggressor, denying the right of the Jewish state to exist, applying double standards to how it views Israel and how it views, any other countries within the international system, holding Jews on campus accountable for the policies of the Israeli government. These are things we've seen for years, if not decades. Again, the Israeli apartheid movement had its roots on Canadian campuses back 15, 20 years ago. So we shouldn't be surprised that the students that are now being nurtured, at Canadian institutions are coming out with these biases. But what we're seeing happening now is they're literally targeting Canadian Jewish students, and faculty. And it's time for the federal government. Again, I know that education and post-secondary education is a provincial jurisdiction, but the federal government has a role to play in leadership here, convening this task force, as Joe Biden and the White House has done in the US, where they're facing an incredibly serious situation. And this needs to happen before words become actions, before these words lead to someone getting hurt. That's why we're calling for this action now.
And what would your advice be to members of the Jewish community on campuses, and also for people who may be standing by and witnessing this kind of hate?
Well, you're entirely correct with the way you framed that, Travis. There's a role for the Jewish community and for the students and for the faculty to not feel intimidated, to speak up, to go to the administration, to let them know what's gone on, even though often they're not treated sympathetically. And if it's more serious, as we just saw at Queen's University over the last couple of days, to go to police if they feel there's a threat. But most importantly, I want to point out that it's critical. Jews alone cannot fight the wave of anti-Semitism that we're seeing in Canada right now. We're calling on our allies. As the Holocaust survivor Max Eisen used to say in his Holocaust education sessions to students, be an upstander, not a bystander. If you see a Jewish colleague or friend, fellow student being targeted in some way, go, tell them you support them. Tell them you're going to go with them to make sure that it's properly documented. And that would be my message. Let's all be upstanders, not bystanders, in the face of this wave of anti-Semitism.
All right, Michael Levitt, thank you for your time this morning. That's Michael Levitt. He is the president and CEO of the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center in Toronto.